If you're struggling to find a job right now, there's one thing that's out of your control and three things that are totally in your control that are the root cause of the struggle to find a job. My name is Jason Roberts. I'm a recruiter, and I've been a recruiter for 25 years. In this video, I want to share some of the tips and tricks that I know that will help you to find your job. Stick with me. Before we get started, I need to ask you a huge favor. I'm about to cross a huge milestone in subscribers. I'm about to cross over to 1,000 subscribers. I've been working towards this for a long time. Can you help me do that? I'm almost there. Just hit subscribe and you'll see content like this whenever it's available. If you also hit that little bell icon right next to it. I'm really wanting to cross this milestone. Help me out with this. All right, let's get started. When people look at the struggle to find a job, there's one thing that's completely out of your control. The thing that's completely out of your control is the job market. Let's spend a few minutes talking about that and what I think is happening in the job market. Then I want to talk to you about three things that are absolutely within your control that you can change. All right. So the one thing that's completely out of your control, the job market, when you look at our open jobs that are available right now, we've been in a steady decline. We've been actually falling off of a cliff in the total number of open jobs since 2022. So 2 solid years of decline. Now, we've just had our second month in a row of flat or slightly increasing number of job postings that are available. When you look at Indeed's data, that's 2 months in a row. And then when you look at the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, we're seeing the same thing. So it looks like, remember when we had COVID and everybody was trying to flatten the curve? We want to flatten that curve. That's actually what we're doing with this. We're flattening the curve. We're trying to slow down or stop that decrease in the number of open jobs or new jobs that are opening in any given month. We're right there. It feels like things are turning around. And what I'm seeing in the market, what I'm seeing in reactions from the market right now, it looks like we're in the midst of a turnaround that we're going to start seeing right now, actually, in the beginning of 2025. And as we ramp up, I think it'll really show up in March or April more than anything else. So that's out of your control. You really don't have any control over the job market itself. The only thing that you can do is be aware of it and be aware that it's going to require you to do things slightly differently as a result. You can be in control of how you react to the market, but you can't be in control of the market itself. What I don't want this to do is steal your agency, meaning I don't want you to feel helpless in your job search. I don't want you to feel like someone else is deciding whether you have a job or not. You're not helpless. You have agency. You get to make decisions about your own job search. And there are three things that are totally within your control that contribute to the struggle to find a job. So let's talk about those things right now. The first thing that I'm seeing, and it's something I was tempted to do when I applied for jobs when I really needed to find a job. I found myself applying to lots of jobs that I was only sort of qualified for. And I did that because it felt better to have activity, to be doing something versus doing nothing. And I was working and spending my time applying for new jobs, filling the top of my pipeline with new opportunities that I thought might be a fit, instead of investing time and effort and energy into the ones where I thought I was a perfect fit. So what that looked like was, I'm a recruiter, so I would find an HR generalist role and say, I could be an HR generalist. How hard is that? Both HR jobs. But I don't have any qualifications. I don't have any experience. When there's not a lot of jobs and there's more people on the market because unemployment has been creeping up, that means the people who are actually doing the hiring, they only want to hire people who are an excellent fit, a very good fit for the job. And what that ultimately means is, unless it's a good fit for you, unless it's exactly the right job, you shouldn't bother with it. You should not apply for that job. Now, it might be something you're trying to grow into, and then you might as well go for it. But apply to less jobs. This is going to sound crazy. Apply to fewer jobs. And spend your time doing the next thing that I'm going to talk to you about. So that's one. The thing that's totally in your control is, I think it feels worse when you're applying to more and you're getting fewer responses. The second thing that happens is you say, oh, well, I'm just waiting for this person to get back to me. So you're not taking control of the job search. You may say, why? How in the world can I take control of this? I've sent them my resume. Now it's their turn, right? That's the way this is supposed to work. I agree. That's the way it's supposed to work. But remember, the person on the other end of that is getting applicants. And on average, there are 250 applicants for every job. So you send your stuff in and you might say, well, it's up to them to get back to me. Well, no, there's a solid chance they'll never see you. They'll never see your resume unless you do something to stand out. That's where this comes in. You have to go find the hiring manager. Now, I'm going to link to a video here where I show you how to do that. That's going to be right here. You can see how to find the hiring manager. It's another video I have walks you through exactly the process for that. The other thing you have to do is do something to bring your resume to the top. Remember, the very first thing, the first person reviewing your resume, it's not a person, it's a thing. It's an applicant tracking system, the technology that recruiters use in order to manage their process. That is the first filter that your resume has to go through. Now, if it's going through this filter, you need to make sure that you are the best possible fit for that job. Like I said, apply for jobs where you're a good fit. But even when you're a good fit, sometimes the language in your resume doesn't say that you're a good fit. And that's the second thing. You have to be a perfect fit for the job. You have to customize your resume for that job, but not just saying, well, of course I know how to use Ruby on Rails because I can do this other thing that's attached to it. Well, maybe the recruiter doesn't know that. And I can guarantee you the matching algorithms are way dumber than you think they are. If you say you know something and it's not explicitly what's requested in the job description, you don't get credit for the thing that's explicitly listed in the job description. It's on you to edit that. The easiest way to do that is to use ChatGPT to align the language of your resume to the language of the job description. What that does not mean is that you lie. What it means is if you say software developer and they say software engineer, you change the term to software engineer because they're roughly the same thing and companies use them synonymously. So you want to speak the same language as their system. Now, when you get to a background check, sure, formalize it, do all that stuff, but that's later. You get a chance to change that later. For now, this is a marketing document. Your job when you send a resume in is to get seen and get to that first interview. That resume's job is to get you to your first interview, right? So that's what you do. You go in and you customize. Now, you can use AI to do that. Here's a link to right here. This is a link to a spot where I've written some prompts for you to use for this. And that's free of charge. It's just a guide and it's prompts to use in ChatGPT to customize your resume. There's some other prompts in there if you like, but it's all free and it's all using the free version of ChatGPT too. So no cost whatsoever to that. So far, we've covered two things. We've covered applying to less jobs, apply to fewer jobs, make sure you stand out. The third piece is one that I haven't talked about very much. I'm just starting to let out a little bit, and that's to build momentum in interviews. Now, what does that mean? That means you use the information that you gather, you use data, you use information from one interview to build momentum for the next interview so that each time you talk to a new person, you know a little bit more and you can represent yourself a little bit better. Here's what that looks like. When you start with that recruiter and that recruiter screen, that's the very first interview every time. When you start with that recruiter screen, the conversation is only informed by the job description itself. That's all the information you have is the job description. So you answer questions based on what it looks like they're trying to gather in the job description itself. That's the only thing that you can do. Now, once you've had that conversation, once you've talked to the recruiter, they're going to ask you at some point, what would you like to know? Do you have any questions for me? And the best thing for you to do is say, well, who do I talk to next? And they'll say, oh, well, probably next is the hiring manager. When do you think that might be? Oh, I think it's going to be this time. How do I follow up with you? And you'll get that information because you want the follow-up information. But when you're talking about the hiring manager, you say, is there anything in the job description the hiring manager really emphasize? Is there something that's particularly important to them that they called out? Do they have a specific pain point that I can address in my interview, right? And what you're doing is you're building your next interview with that recruiter. They'll respect the fact that you're asking this question, by the way. They will like that you're asking this. So you're just trying to get ready for that next thing, okay? Once you do that, you meet with the manager and you have your interview, and then, can I answer any questions for you? Well, what's the next step of the process? Who would I talk to next? Oh, I think I'll have you talk with Billy and Sally and Jody. Great. I look forward to talking to them. Are they peers? Do I work with them? Do I work for them? Are they internal customers? How does that work? What's important to Billy? Let's talk about Billy for a minute. And you drill in, you get an understanding of, oh, well, Billy's got this one pain point, and Sally's got this other pain point, and Jody's got yet another pain point. So that when you get into those interviews, you're talking about, you know what I'm really good at? I'm really good at fixing this pain point that you happen to have. And chances are, you know how to deal with it because you're experienced and a good fit for that job, because you're only applying for jobs where you're a good fit now, right? Right. We already agree with that in number one. So if that's the case, then you're using this momentum that you have in each interview to get to that next interview. This is all about you taking control of the process and finding ways to make contact and finding ways to stand out, given this thing that you are completely out of control on when it comes to the market. This is how you change it. The one thing that's out of control, the job market. The three things that are 100% in your control: applying for the right jobs, making sure that you stand out, and building momentum in the interview process. I hope this was helpful for you. I wish you the very best of luck in your job search.